Good morning. Thank you all for coming out today on this beautiful day here in Asheville, North Carolina. We are thrilled to be one of the first stops on the Climate Action bus tour, where we are highlighting local actions, the local impacts of climate change, and the things that people are doing in communities all over the country to take action to reduce our carbon pollution and increase our solutions for addressing climate change. Here in Western North Carolina, we are already feeling the impacts of climate change, from impacts on our trout streams to increasing impacts on agriculture and Christmas tree farms, and an increase in the number of extreme weather events, evidenced recently, of course, by our flooding here in the region. And we have yet a tremendous community of people that are addressing climate. And we are going to hear from several of them here today. We are happy to have with us, who will each say a few remarks, the Asheville Mayor, Terry Bellamy, who has recently received an award from the U.S. Conference on Mayors for the climate work that we have done here in Asheville. Under her leadership, the city has taken a bunch of action to reduce our carbon footprint and to increase our investments in energy efficiency and make us a more sustainable community. We also have with us here today Reba Brinkman, who is a fly fish guide, who will talk about the impact of climate on cold water streams. We have Erica Schneider, who is leading the solar the solar installations with Sundance Power Systems, and we are happy to have them here in our community, evidencing the clean energy solutions. And we have Randy Talley, who is owner of the Green Sage Cafe. If you haven't had any coffee yet or pastries from them, please go ahead and have some. Randy not only is an example of sustainability in his own restaurants, but he's also provided leadership with other restaurants in the area and making, I'm sure he'll tell you more about, I don't want to steal his thunder, but about the Restaurant Association and all we've done to become more sustainable in that regard. And finally, we will have former Congressman Tom Perriello, who is the CEO of Center for American Progress Action Fund and is riding on the bus. So with that, I will just say that we have done all kinds of things here in the area to cut our carbon pollution, to move beyond coal, to deploy clean energy solutions, and to pursue energy efficiency investments. And we are thrilled to be able to highlight some of those for you here today. So, Mayor.
Thank you so very much. You all, let's give Kelly Martin a hand for helping to organize this event today. Thank you so very much, Kelly. You know, I'm really proud to say that I support President Obama's climate action plan, and he's coming on board to what Asheville has been doing for years. And I want to read to you a couple of things that we're doing in Asheville because I want you to have all the facts. The Asheville City Council established a municipal carbon footprint reduction goal of 80% by the year 2030. In the 5 years since creating this policy, the municipality achieved a 17.67% reduction and established a self-sustaining funding source that recycles energy savings for use of additional sustainability programs. 2 years ago, Asheville took the program to the next level by compiling the energy savings and dollars to fund these initiatives into one fund called the Green Capital Improvement Program. It's our Green CIP. The cornerstone in this diverse portfolio of municipal carbon reduction efforts is the LED street light replacement program. The $425,000 in annual carbon reduction efforts or energy savings generated from upgrading the LED street lights is the funding source to pay for debt service on the street lights, fleet and building efficiency projects, and staff who are closely tied to this additional energy savings. So what does that mean for you? When you go home and it turns dark and those street lights come on, we're not only saving money, we're saving energy in our community. Another thing that we've done with our fund, I don't know how many of you had an opportunity just to drive right around the corner, but we have been able to take the opportunity to transform our city's fleet. We put in compressed natural gas vehicles, we put in hybrids. I hope most of you have seen our police officers who are using not only their cars, but they're out on Segways. So we're looking at energy saving opportunities for our community. And I'm really happy about what's about to happen in our community. Because we have NCDC in our community, we are working to make sure that climate is a big issue in our community and looking to create a center in our community that really focuses on climate and how do we take the technology and the information we get from NCDC in order to implement that locally and making sure that we're creating policies that make a difference not only in Asheville but across this country. So in Asheville, we're making a difference. I could go on and on, but they only gave me 3 minutes. Because we're doing great work in our community. And I want to say thank you to the citizens of Asheville for believing in the Asheville City Council and helping us to make these changes in our community. We believe in our community, we believe in climate, and we believe in this process. So thank you so very much, because we are making a difference.
Thank you and good morning. It is truly a beautiful day, and it is a real pleasure to be here. This is a very significant moment, and I appreciate everyone that showed up today and to be here and get aboard this bus that's going to help move us to a better future. For several years, my mantra in working with Sundance Power Systems and looking at what it's going to take to move forward has been, it's really going to take strong federal leadership to really shift things forward. We've been making lots of gains on local community fronts, such as Asheville, and a lot of individuals, committed business owners, and so on. But to really shift things, it's going to take our national leadership. So, to me, when I heard the announcement of this climate plan, it was the message that I needed to hear, to be re-inspired to know that yes, we do have the opportunity. Our leadership is recognizing that it is time to do everything we can to address this issue of climate change. With this planned announcement, President Obama stepped up and took the driver's seat of a bus that was headed on a collision course for way too long. Now, none of us here are naive enough to think it's going to be a smooth ride. We'll probably still have a few little fender benders, maybe some minor crashes, but hopefully nothing that we can't repair. But it's going to take action now. And as he wisely said, and everyone here knows, once again, no small individual step is going to move us forward. It's going to be a collection of large-scale actions, small actions, individual efforts, committed businesses, communities at large, and federal leadership. So solutions are here, and moving forward, this bus, this new plan will hopefully steer us towards wiser policies, embracing of clean solutions that are here, that are viable, and are win-win from almost every angle. So it's time to take this bus on this ride. It's exciting. Solar is one of the solutions, and we're very excited about it. It will mean a lot to the clean energy industry to have strong federal policies, but solar is moving ahead like never before. The momentum is here. It's becoming cost effective. It gives us energy independence. It's going to save our businesses money to operate into the future in competitive environments, and it's going to address our environment. Now, in his address, President Obama also implored us to do this for our children. Indeed, as a mother of two, it is what compels me to get up and do the work that I do every day. Sometimes it gets a little hard to keep believing that it's going to make a difference. But this gives me renewed hope that new changes and all of us rallying around this bus together will make a difference, and I'm very excited about that. But let me just close by saying, yes, my children motivate me, but it's much more than that. It is all of creation. It's you, it's myself, so that I can go to bed with a little peace of mind at the end of the day. And the birds that fill the sky, the dogs, everything. It's a moral imperative for us to join together, and it could be a really exciting time. So jump on the bus. If you haven't, get your neighbors on board and let's do it.
Thank you so much, Erica. Did y'all know that North Carolina is 5th in the country for installed solar capacity? That's tremendous. And we have people like Erica and Sundance to thank for that.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kelly, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you for everybody that's here. Obviously, we're here because we care. I'm here to represent the waters of our area, of our world. I'm a fly fishing guide. I take people to the water and I teach them how to fly fish. I'm an instructor. I'm passionate about teaching. I have a very unique opportunity to take somebody that might not have ever stepped in a river, looked around at their surroundings, and seen a wild creature living at their feet or in front of them. I teach them how to cast a fly out, how to catch a fish, and when we hold that fish in our hand, that person is connected to something wild. At that moment, there's an educational piece that goes with my teaching, and that is that this wild animal, this wild creature is here because we protected this water source. And that's not free, and that's not effortless. So as a fly fishing instructor, as a steward of the environment, I monitor the rivers in which I fish, I monitor the areas, and I'm here to say that I will act on climate change, and I will inspire people to see the wild things around them and know that we must protect this. Thank you.
So I am the managing partner of the Green Sage Coffee House and Cafe, and we have 2 locations here in Asheville that are both solar powered. I am very concerned about climate change and applaud President Obama's action plan. The UN reports on climate change that originated from the National Climatic Data Center here in Asheville inspired me to take action. In 2006, Progress Energy was about to build a diesel-powered plant a couple of miles from my home, and I decided that I had to take action. I changed all the light bulbs in my home. I bought a Prius. I did what I could do to stop burning fossil fuels. In 2008, I decided to open a green restaurant as a beacon to the city and inspiration to folks to take further action. We believe that if we set the example, other people would follow. We were the first restaurant in downtown Asheville to use solar thermal panels for heating hot water, and you can see the solar panels. We have a one-story building right down here at the corner of College and Broadway. Our second restaurant in South Asheville is significantly more energy efficient. We were the first 4-star certified green restaurant in the South and one of only 10 in the United States. When we were building the Green Sage down south, I remember the electrician coming up to me and saying, "Gee whiz, most restaurants need 5 circuit breakers for the lighting, and at the Green Sage you could run all your lighting, including your outdoor sign, on one 20-amp circuit." In 2011, the Green Sage, along with 15 other Asheville independent restaurants, received grant funding from the Blue Ridge Sustainability Institute here that enabled us to install solar panels on 7 more restaurants and change out the incandescent and halogen light bulbs for compact fluorescent LED lighting. Our goal was to save 3.5 billion BTUs, the amount of energy it takes to boil 25 million gallons of water. In 2012, 16 Asheville independent restaurants earned the distinction of being America's first green dining destination. The Green Sage, Asheville independent restaurants, and the Blue Ridge Sustainability Institute are leading the way to reduce greenhouse gases that contribute to climate change. We hope our combined efforts make a difference. Thank you.
And thank you, Asheville, for your leadership, Madam Mayor and others, through the business community, through the public sector, to show that this can be done. We know the bad news. Last year, the biggest federal expenditure after defense was climate-related disaster relief. We've seen over $1 billion just in North Carolina in the last year and a half spent on climate-related disasters, including some that have taken lives. We know the expense today, and that expense will only grow as we go forward. But we also know that we're ready to solve this thing. And I want to thank the people of Asheville for showing leadership. The speech the president gave and the agenda he announced a few weeks ago, I think will go down as the most historic speech he's given in the last few years, and that says a lot. I was proud to support energy independence when I was in Congress, and I think it was the right thing to do. But the fact is, this was bolder than anything that had been proposed before. It was more creative, more market-oriented, and more serious about stepping up to exactly what the science tells us and what the economic data tells us we need to do. But it was a speech with an agenda that will only become real if people across this state and across the country continue to step up like you're doing today and say, we are leading. We want the president to continue to be bold in this area. We want our congressional leaders, our state leaders, our local leaders to be bold about this and to think about these votes as if their children and their grandchildren were there to look them in the eye when they're making it. This is a moral issue. We've seen faith leaders across the country, from across the political spectrum, come out and talk about the moral obligation of this issue. We've had economists come out and say we can't afford the billions and billions it's going to take to address this problem when just a small investment now will lead to the kind of innovations and creativity you saw from Green Sage and others. We have tobacco farmers in our region who are switching over to biofuels that can mean that the money stays in our community instead of going beyond and overseas. We can spend this on making our community stronger, not weaker. But individual actions matter. We talked about the car you drive, the recycling you do, all these things. But we know in this issue, we can only solve this together. We can only address something of the scale of climate with national leadership that says we are all going to commit and play by a certain set of rules that means that our children and grandchildren will be able to fly fish the same way we did, that we'll be able to farm the same way that we did, that we'll be able to do business and go to the beaches the same way that we did. We know this is a national security issue not only in terms of the dependence this creates for our nation, but our coastline where our Navy does so much of its work, including in my state of Virginia and here in North Carolina. So we all know the stakes here. I realize I'm preaching to the choir and I don't have a very good singing voice, but I will tell you that we must bring your voice back to Washington. The people are way ahead of the Beltway on this one. So it's fun for me to get out and hear about this innovation, hear about the leadership, hear about your work, Madam Mayor, and know that all across the country people are committed to acting on this and saying, I will act on climate. We believe the environment is right now in Washington. The president made a bold step, but we need to hold him to it. We need to hold all of our leaders to it. So I just want to thank you all for coming out today, for everything you did to make a speech like that possible and to make sure that we turn it into action so that future generations will look back and say this was the group of people that stood up and said we are going to make sure that we sustain this beautiful planet we have, we keep this country strong, and we keep it independent. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you so much, Tom, for your leadership as a congressman and in your current position. Thank you, Mayor Bellamy, for your leadership. It is so vital that we have people in elected office that care about climate change and that care about protecting our planet and our health for future generations. So we really, really appreciate that. Folks, I'd like to invite you now. Our whole theme today, if you haven't noticed yet, is I will act on climate. I will take action on climate. And I'm hoping that you're here today because you will take action. Is that right? Will you take action on climate? Thank you so much. And there's several ways that you can do that right here today, that you can show your support for President Obama's climate action plan. When I listened to that speech, I heard one thing really loud and clear, and he said, I need you folks out there across the country to compel us to act. to give your voice, lend your voice, and to have us take action on climate and implement this visionary plan that he has come up with to cut our carbon pollution and deploy clean energy solutions. So the ways that you can do that here today is you can sign our banner that was going to go on the bus and be delivered in Washington. So if you haven't done that, please do that. There's also a bunch of people walking around that have postcards in their hand. If you have postcards or a sign-up volunteer sheet, please raise your hand. If you guys haven't done that yet, please do see one of these fabulous folks with the sign-in sheets or the postcards so your voice can be heard. So we thank you very much for coming out today.
President Obama, thank you so much for taking a stand on climate action. I have 5 grandchildren, and now there is hope that the world that they will inherit and be able to live in, grow up in, and play in will be as wonderful as the world I grew up in. Thank you so much.
I love my planet.
I think it's really the most important thing to our family. Taking care of the planet sort of drives all the other issues. So it's really the most important thing for me and the kids.
President Obama, I want you to know I give thanks to you every day for what you do. I'm so glad you're there. And there's so many issues, but if we don't have a good climate, none of the other ones matter. So thanks for what you're doing.
Hi, Mr. President. Thank you for what you're doing. But I must say, there's no such thing as clean coal, and the facts are definitely not looking good on fracking, so please don't support either.
I'm a fly fishing guide and I'm an outdoors woman. I'm here to say that I support you, President Obama, on acting on climate change. We need to protect our clean waters. We need clean water for not only for our fish, but we need clean water to survive. Everything does. Thank you for being a part of this. We need action around climate for the preservation of biodiversity.
I just wanted to tell you how concerned I am about the climate and about fracking and about the pipeline, and you really need to take a stand on things because you are basically the power of the world. You need to protect us. We need to live beyond just this decade.
Okay.